you can just enable this one.
Yeah, wait, sir.
Okay.
Assalamualaikum, Mr. Sajjad. How are
Walaikum salam, Abu Ali. Good to see you.
Alhamdulillah. Nice to see you.
Thank you very much. Same here.
Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum. How are you, Mr. Noor?
Alhamdulillah.
Good to see you.
Yeah, welcome, Mr. Nur Munir, Abu Ali.
Terima kasih, Bu Heni.
For joining us. And also,
Terima kasih, Bu Heni.
yeah,
Okay.
Pak Masud is also already here with us.
Okay. So can I just try once screen share so that it...
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, you just a minute, some trouble connection. So just wait,
Okay.
sir.
Okay.
Selamat datang, Pak Rektor.
Ya, assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam, Pak Rektor. How are you?
Ayo, alhamdulillah, fine. Okay.
Alhamdulillah.
Pak Sajjad.
Good to see you. Yeah, good to see you.
Pak Sajjad. Okay.
Pak Masud, hello. Oh, the microphone. Just wait, sir.
Okay, no problem.
Nunggu siapa, Bu Heni?
Ini nunggu Fani, Pak, sebentar lagi di telepon. Pak Sajjad minta coba dicoba di screen ya PowerPoint-nya. Halo, Miss Surti.
Okay, I think it can be shared, yeah. So I stop sharing now.
Sharon, would you please to start play the screen because the host is already open for you.
Yeah, I just checked. It's okay, I think. It's working.
Okay. Yeah, it's
okay?
already there. Yeah, we can see it clear.
Okay. Yeah. So I stop share now.
Yeah. We may start the webinar now. Okay. Let me start, sir. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor that His Excellency Sajjad Haider Khan is already here with us. His Excellency Sajjad Haider Khan charged the Affairs Embassy of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, Jakarta. Respectable Dr. Muhair Pakana, Rector of Institute of Technology and Business, Ahmad Dahlan, and Vice of Rectors of Institute of Technology and Business, Ahmad Dahlan, Jakarta. Co-host representative, the Honorable Dr. Andes Nur Munir, MIGS, MTS, Director of Islamic and Middle East Research Center, University of Indonesia. Dr. Rita Dr. Riza Nur Arfani MA, Director of Institute of International Studies, University of Gajah Mada, Yogyakarta. Student Intan Aulinisa Isma, MSc, Manager of Institute of International Studies, University of Gajah Mada, Yogyakarta. Dr. Ai Ahidayat, SMBA, Director of International Office, University of Lampung. Dr. Mizas Iskandar, LLM, LPM, Islamic State University, Ar-Raniry. Dr. Rizi Sofyan, Vice Rector of Relations Affairs, University of Syah Kuala Aceh. Insinyur Ana Susanti Engineer, Head of Relation Department Muhammadiyah University of West Sumatra. Surti Milasari MPD, Head of International Peace Relations of Muhammadiyah School of Economics, Tanjung, Redeb, East Kalimantan. Pipip Arifai Hasan PhD, Head of Magister of Study Islam and Director of Institute of Ethics and Civilizations, Paramadina University, Jakarta. Mr. Muhammad Nasir Elhad, President DYPLO, Jakarta. And Honorable, all the participants of the webinar from various universities and institutions in Indonesia. First of all, let's pray and thanks to Allah SWT, who has been giving us some mercies and blessings so we can attend and gather in this webinar in good condition. Secondly, may peace and salutation always be given to our Prophet Muhammad SAW, his family, and his friends. Ladies and gentlemen, before we start the webinar, let us recite Basmalah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Now, it's time for us to hear National Anthem Indonesia Raya. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand up.
Okay.
Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum.
Miss Hani Mulyati, I cannot hear you. I think there is some problem with the mic.
Unmute,
Okay.
mute, Bu
Okay.
Heni.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. Okay. Let me read again, or let me try again. Before we begin, let me inform you some information related to webinar. The number of registered participants is 182, who come from various universities and institutions in Indonesia, consisting of students and lecturers, as well as the general public. Today is STIEM DYPLO Talk Series, or webinar held by Institute of Technology and Business Ahmad, Dahlan, and the co-hosts from NGO and universities as follow. Islamic and Middle East Research Center, University of Indonesia. Institute of International Studies, Gajah Mada University, Jakarta. International Office of University of Lampung. Islamic State University Ar-Raniry, Aceh. University Syah Kuala Aceh. Muhammadiyah University of West Sumatra, Muhammadiyah School of Economics of Tanjung, Redeb, East Kalimantan, Institute of Ethics and Civilizations, Paramadina University, Jakarta, DYPLO Corp, Jakarta. And the rules of the webinar as follows. Participants must mute the microphones during speakers delivering material. Participants are allowed to ask questions in the Zoom chat room and write the names in the following format: name underscore institution. Example, Hani underscore ICB Ahmad Dahlan. The moderator has a full right to arrange the webinar and will choose questions to be answered during question and answer session. During the question and answer sessions, if participants want to talk or ask questions, participants are expected to activate the raise hand feature first and wait for the moderator to give permission activating the audio or speaker. Participants are not allowed to use the share screen feature without the permissions of the host or moderator. The link of presence form will be shared in the room chat columns at the Q&A session. Participants are requested to fill the presence list form. The name of participant will be written on the certificate based on the name written in present list form. Certificate will be sent to the participant on the 7th day after the webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, to shorten the time, let us hear opening remarks that will be delivered by our respectable Dr. Muhair Pakana, Rector of Institute of Technology and Business Ahmad, Jakarta. Respectable Dr. Muhair Pakana, time is yours.
Baik, thank you, Bu Heni. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahillazi arsala rasulahu bil huda wa dinil haq liyusirahu ala dini kullihi wa kafa billahi. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la syarikalah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasulahu. His Excellency Mr. Sajjad Haider Khan, chairs the Affairs Embassy of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan in Indonesia. Welcome to join this webinar, the Diplomacy Talk. Co-host representatif, ya teman-teman semua, the Honorable Bapak Ibu, Bapak Nur Munir, Director of the Islamic and Middle East Research Center, Universitas Indonesia, Pak Munir. Oke. Dr. Riza Nur Arfani, Director of the Institute of International Study, Gajah Mada University, Jakarta, and Ibu Cut Intan, ya, Ibu Cut Intan, Manager of the Institute of International Studies, UGM, Jakarta. And then Dr. Ayi Ahadiat, Director of International Office, UNILA, Lampung. Oke, and then Bapak Dr. Miza Iskandar, LPM State Islamic University Aceh, Ar-Raniry. And then Bapak Hizir Sofyan, Vice Rector for Relation at STIEM Kuala University Aceh. Ibu Ana Susanti, Head of the Department of Relation of at the Universitas Muhammadiyah Sumatera Barat. Ibu sudah datang. Kemudian and then Ibu Surti Milarisa, ya, Head of the International Relation Office of STIEM Muhammadiyah Tanjung Redeb, Kalimantan Timur. Pak Muhammad Nazar El-Haq, Presiden.
The voice is off.
Excuse me. Maybe Pak Muhair has a trouble of connections. Yeah. Okay. Let me. Yes, Pak. Please.
Yes. I am sorry.
Okay.
And then all participants. Alhamdulillah. Peace to all. My Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala always give mercy and blessing to us all. Alhamdulillah, we are still given opportunity to gather in this webinar in good health. Ladies and gentlemen, number one, we would like to thank you very much for His Excellency Sajjad Haider Khan present to today's webinar. And then thank you also to the ladies and gentlemen, Bapak Ibu yang berpartisipasi dalam in this diplomacy talk forum atau webinar ini. And then number two, this webinar was held in collaboration between DYPLO, IMERC, Universitas Indonesia, and several universities in Indonesia. The goal is to build collaboration with several universities abroad. For example, with Pakistan, Tunisia, China, Middle East, America, Australia, and others, especially of education, culture, and other sectors. Number three, today we discuss about the linkage of education and economic development opportunities for educational collaboration between Pakistan and Asian countries with His Excellency Mr. Sajjad Haider Khan. Okay, this webinar will explain about the opportunities for educational research, student exchange, economic sector, business and investment cooperation with Pakistan. Ya, semoga kita semua bisa mengambil langkah step untuk kita mendalami kerjasama kita dengan pihak Pakistan. And then, ladies and gentlemen, finally, we would like to thanks everyone, thanks for all, thanks semua atas kehadirannya di webinar ini, Diplomasi Talk. Terima kasih semuanya for all. Demikian. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ya. Ya, waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Pak Mukhair Pakana. Now, it is time for us to listen to speech from our speaker, His Excellency Sajjad Haider Khan, Charles the Embassy of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, Jakarta, that will deliver the topic, Linkages of Education and Economic Development, Opportunities for Educational Collaborations between Pakistan and Asian countries. The discussions will be conducted by the moderator, Mr. Muhammad Nasser El-Haq, President DYPLO. His Excellency, time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Henny Mulyati, for the kind introduction. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Diplomacy Talk series with Sajjad Haider of Embassy of Islamic Republic of Pakistan in Jakarta, Indonesia. My name is Muhammad Nasser El-Haq, President of DYPLO, will be your moderator for today's discussion. First of all, I would like to welcome and extend my gratitude to His Excellency Mr. Sajjad Haider Khan as Sajjad Haider of Embassy of Islamic Republic of Pakistan in Jakarta, Indonesia. Dr. Mukhair Pakana as Rector of Ahmad Dahlan Technology and Business Institute. Dr. Andes Munir as a Director of Islamic and Middle East Research Center, University of Indonesia, and also Ms. Henny Mulyati as Head of International Relations Office of Ahmad Dahlan Technology and Business Institute. I would also like to thank to all of the audiences and all other partners of this webinar series, such as DYPLO, Islamic and Middle East Research Center, Universitas Indonesia, Institute of International Studies, Universitas Gadjah Mada, International Office of Universitas Lampung, Muhammadiyah University of West Sumatra, Sekolah Tinggi Ilmu Ekonomi Tanjung Redeb, Syah Kuala University, and also Ar-Raniry State Islamic University. So before we start this discussion, I would like to quickly introduce our speaker. His Excellency Mr. Sajjad Haider Khan is a career diplomat who has served in Pakistan embassies in Damascus, Budapest, Berlin, and Jakarta, besides at Foreign Office headquarters in Islamabad at different capacities. He is now appointed as Ambassador Designate of Pakistan to Belarus, and he will leave Jakarta next month. He has a master's degree in political science, and he attended diplomatic courses in a lot of places, such as Germany, Malaysia, and the United States. So without further ado, I will give the time to His Excellency Mr. Sajjad Haider Khan. Mr. Khan, we please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
It's indeed a great pleasure and what an honor to interact with the galaxy of academicians from not only from Jakarta, but I can see from across the globe in a way, and also from different parts of Indonesia. And I can also see a number of young students and researchers in today's webinar. So thank you very much for taking your time out, and thank you very much for coordinating and arranging this interactive session. Let me at the beginning also confess that I am neither an academician nor an economist to talk about the topic. But being a diplomat, of course, you are supposed to interact with different people coming from different walks of life and speak about different aspects of, progress and potentials and all areas of cooperation. So in that regard, I intend to cover my talk in next 45 minutes in 4 bigger parts. The first being Pakistan itself, because I would definitely like the audience to understand what is Pakistan, where is Pakistan, and what are the main things there. And then speak about Pakistan's relations with Indonesia also, because our two brotherly countries have been interacting with each other for the last 73 years. And then in the third, I will speak about the educational linkages with economic development. And lastly, I will speak about the collaboration between Pakistan and ASEAN countries, and more specifically, potential available between Pakistan and Indonesia. So right at the start, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to Dr. Mukhair Pakana for being here personally, Rector of ITB, Ahmad Dahlan for being here and for the welcoming speech also. And I welcome you all to today's seminar. I look forward to having a very interactive session. So with this, I will now start my presentation. So you will not be able to see me maybe, but the presentation slides more or less. Thank you very much for your time. So the topic, linkages, education and economic development, opportunities for educational collaboration between Pakistan and ASEAN countries. And I intend to cover this presentation as shown on this slide, already mentioned to you. And coming to Pakistan, many of you may not be knowing where is Pakistan. It's a country which is a blessed country in terms of geography. It has mountains, it has plains, it has green hills, it has desert, and it has oceans. So the only country in the world which is blessed with all kinds of topographical features. A country which is 207 million people. So it is the 6th largest country in the world. Indonesia is the 4th largest country, and Pakistan again is catching up in terms of growth also. And the youth is like Indonesia. Pakistan is blessed with the youth bulge. Majority of the people of 207 million population, they fall in the category of 20 to 34 years of age. This country, even though was got independence in 1947, so technically it's only 73 years old state, but this land has been historically a very, very important area which has a history which dates back to 7000 BC. So if you heard about the Maurya Empire, Gandhara civilization, Indus Valley civilization, Arabs who came here, came to that part of the world in 720 ADs, and then Mughals ruled for almost 450, 500 years. And subsequently, the area was conquered and colonized by the British, who ruled almost 100 years, and which ended on 14th August 1947 when Pakistan became an independent country, just 2 years after Indonesia became independent. So in the slide, you can see there are two persons, one with a cap. He is the founder of Pakistan, whose name is Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. And the next one is the Iqbal, Allama Iqbal. He is known as the poet of the East, who basically saw that in the Indian subcontinent, there must be a separate country for the Muslims who could, live there and practice their own religious things without any much of issues in the Hindu-dominated India. Map-wise, if you see, the green part is Pakistan. So in the east is South Asia, north is Central Asia, in the west is Iran and Middle East. And topographically, if you can see, in the north, you have the Karakoram ranges and Himalayan ranges. So in the north of Pakistan, we have these two mountain ranges. And China is in the north, and India is in the east. Iran and Afghanistan is in the west and northwest. And of course, we have almost 1,000 kilometers of Arabian Sea coastal line in Pakistan also. Now, Pakistan is a parliamentary form of democracy, is a functional democracy there with Prime Minister Imran Khan, who has been there for almost 2 years now as the Prime Minister. We have a free and independent media with almost 150 television channels relaying and displaying and showcasing different kinds of news and entertainment, and a country which is coming as the next 11 important countries in terms of business opportunities there. This slide will just give you an idea about the GDP. It's almost $325 billion. And in terms of poverty, this PPP, purchasing power parity, Pakistan is the 25th largest economy in the world. And this slide shows you Pakistan produces cotton, leather products, it's the 4th largest, sports goods. Important thing in sports goods is soccer football, which is played in the international tournament also. So over 50% of the world football are produced in one city in Pakistan. And then surgical instruments. Like Indonesia, Pakistan is also blessed with lots of mineral resources like copper and gold. The 3rd largest reserves are in Pakistan. Coal, we have natural gas and oil is 10th largest. And salt mines. This salt mines is the one which many of you may be knowing as the Himalayan pink salt. So Himalayan pink salt is produced in Pakistan. It was discovered in 2327 BC, almost 2000 years ago. And it is still the 2nd largest reserves in the world. And of course, then there are gems and jewelry and other things. In terms of the agricultural products, if you see on the slide, it's cotton, dates, sugarcane, wheat, dairy products, meat, oranges, rice, and wool. All these are the major agricultural products which Pakistan produces. And we are the largest exporter of cotton yarn, 2nd largest producer of rock salt, and 3rd largest exporter of raw cotton, carpets, and rice. If you go around in Indonesia, you would see a lot of carpet shops, especially the ones which are handmade carpet shops. They all basically are owned by Pakistani businessmen. More than 130 shops are in Indonesia. 4th largest producers of mango. Mango still is not coming to Indonesia, so maybe next year onward, this product would also start coming. So it is known for its distinct taste. And then, of course, dry fruits and poultry and seafood. Now, in terms of topography, I already mentioned that it's a country which is blessed with all kinds of terrain, which means it has 14 tropical and subtropical zones, in which different kinds of vegetations can take place. To see the map, it is elongated from north to south. So in the south is the sea, and in the north is the mountain. So Pakistan is probably the only country in the world to have sea and the highest mountains, because we have the 2nd highest peak in the world, which is known as K2. Some of the other things are that we have the largest irrigation canal system in the world. And then we have the desert and the ocean and the mountains. So at one time, people can dive in the ocean, as well as people can go for ski in the north, and people can go for desert safari in the deserts of Pakistan. So it's a unique country which has been blessed with all sorts of topographical features. It is divided into 6 regions, which is Gilgit-Baltistan, Kashmir. These are the part of Jammu and Kashmir area, which is associated with Pakistan, in Pakistan. And then we have the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, which Pakistan claims it's, of course, Muslim majority, so it belongs to Pakistan also, but currently it is illegally occupied by India. And then we have the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Balochistan, Punjab, and Sindh. These are the other 4 big provinces in Pakistan. And these are some of the pictorials of Pakistan: Himalayan ranges, Karakoram ranges, and Hindu Kush ranges. So in the world, there are 3 big mountain ranges, and all of them are associated. They have the confluence point. They all merge inside Pakistan. So we can claim that Pakistan has been blessed in terms of all sorts of mountain ranges also. And I already mentioned, this is probably the 9th largest subtropical desert. These are some of the pictures which can give you the idea. This is the capital of Pakistan. Around 40% of the capital is green. So it's a very pollution free, neat, clean capital. This is Karachi and Lahore and Peshawar. So important monuments of different era. And then it is Lahore. Many of these sites are basically 400, 500 years old in terms of history because they were built by the Mughals. And then we have the mountain area where you have the gushing rivers and cherry blossoming trees and snow-covered mountains, and then the snow leopard. And so all this. Then we have the Muzaffarabad, which is in Azad Jammu and Kashmir. This is the Kashmir, which is in Pakistan, the stunning Sharda Valley. And these are some of the pictorials of this region. So in many ways, Pakistan is much prettier than even Switzerland. I have been to Switzerland, and the only thing in Switzerland is that you have green hills and of course mountains and lakes. In Pakistan, you have much more. So in terms of what we offer is much more than one single country can offer. And we are blessed with 4 seasons. So this, you can see, it is the autumn season in which all the trees, their colors, they change, and subsequently winters, they fall. This is the longest glacier in the world, Baltoro Glacier. It's around 72 kilometers long. It is in Pakistan. Now, what is the deduction? The deduction is that the security situation in Pakistan has improved. Many of you must have heard that there has been security problems in Pakistan because mostly because of Afghanistan. It's our neighbor, which has been facing a very difficult situation since 1979. And unfortunately, because of that, a lot of migration took place, and around 5 million Afghanis, they also got settled in Pakistan. And Pakistan had serious issues in the first decade of the current century. So between 2004 to 2014, actually the situation was very bad. But Alhamdulillah, the armed forces of Pakistan, the nation as a whole, we have been able to overcome all those difficulties. Pakistan is now known as a capital where United Nations has allowed families to go, which is considered as per the UN terms, is that when the sea is clear from security issues, they declare it as a family station, so the families can go there. More and more foreigners are now traveling to Pakistan. If you go and use YouTube and check out their assessment and their remarks about Pakistan, you would be surprised to hear how happy and how delightful they were in Pakistan. British Backpackers Society declared Pakistan as #1 tourist destination for adventure tourism. And then Forbes magazine, which is the international magazine, included Pakistan as the top 10 under the radar trips for 2020. Unfortunately, because of the COVID situation, this year we could not have much of tourism like all other countries in the world, including Indonesia. But we are talking about the potential and how things are there. And likewise, Pakistan topped in the Condé Nast Travelers list of best 2020 holiday destinations. One important area is Indonesia's travel writer and blogger Trinity, the Naked Traveler. Some of you must be knowing. She visited Pakistan last year, and she has visited 90 other countries also. So in one of her blogs, she mentioned that Pakistan topped as #1 in all the countries that she had visited. So I'm sure there are reasons for each person to go there, and Pakistan would welcome to any Indonesian or any other foreigner who would like to pay a visit to Pakistan. Now, coming over to Pakistan's relations with Indonesia. Our relations actually date back to the independence of Indonesia. At the time of independence of Indonesia, there were 600 Muslim soldiers who were from the present day areas of Pakistan. Those soldiers were fighting, they were deployed alongside the British Army in different parts of Indonesia and Malaysia. So on the instructions of the Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, these 600 soldiers, they left their posts and they joined the revolutionaries of Indonesians, and they fought the war for Indonesian independence. And you would be surprised to hear that 500 of those soldiers, they died fighting the war in different parts of Indonesia alongside their brothers and sisters in Indonesia. And these soldiers were subsequently awarded in 1995. Indonesia awarded them. Around 100 of them, they survived. Some of them, they went back. Some of them, they got settled here. So we still have a few families actually in Indonesia whose forefathers, they took part alongside their brothers in Indonesian independence. So Pakistan enjoyed very good relations ever since our independence. 1965 is another milestone when President Sukarno sent 2 submarines to help Pakistan in the fight in the war against India, even though they did not participate in the war because the war had already ended. But the mere fact that the 2 submarines were sent to Pakistan. Yes. So our relations are deep-rooted. They are multifaceted, and they are in all spheres of life. And it is marked by increased bilateral support to each other also at the United Nations and different fora, like, for example, Indonesia became the member of the UN Security Council as a non-permanent member, and Pakistan was supportive of, voted for Indonesia. Likewise, I mean, Indonesia has been supporting Pakistan. For Pakistan's entry in the ASEAN as a sectoral dialogue partner, we received much valued support from Indonesia. Likewise, they have been supportive about Pakistan's efforts in ASEAN regional forum when Pakistan became a member in 2004. Now, how these relationships are conducted. So in terms of the actual conduct, we have around 32 memorandum of understandings and agreements between different Indonesian agencies and organizations and ministries with their counterparts in Pakistan. Likewise, we have a bilateral consultative forum. We have a joint working group on terrorism, and we have a joint working commission, then policy planning dialogue. So all these provide the framework under which the relationships are conducted, but not, of course, restricted to them. I mean, these are the organized ones. Other than that, anything which can come up, the 2 governments, take up those issues and we move forward. And then high-level visits have been very regular between the 2 countries. I will just show you this slide. Almost all the presidents of Indonesia have visited Pakistan. Like Joko Widodo was the last one who visited Pakistan in 2018, 1.5 years ago. Likewise, all Pakistani presidents and prime ministers and leaders, they have also visited Indonesia. And then there are a host of other exchanges between the parliamentarians, between the academicians, and between all other relevant stakeholders. In terms of trade relations, we reached around $3 billion of trade in 2018, but last year has been a small decrease there because of certain reasons, including because of the current situation, because of the COVID. But there are additional tariff lines which are now available for Pakistan. So we hope that in the coming years, inshallah, the trade relations will go back. So one important area is that Pakistan is number 4th largest destination for Indonesian crude palm oil. So CPO is one big product. Almost $2 billion of CPO goes to Pakistan every year. What are the main products of Pakistan? You can see on the slide, it's woven fabric, cotton, cereals, and copper, and other things. And likewise, Pakistan receives from Indonesia palm oil, mineral oil, fresh dried, and mineral fuels and man-made staple fibers. So these are some of the bigger products which go to Pakistan. So our relationship is not only related to political leadership exchanges and political relations and economic relations, but the defense ties are also growing steadily between the 2 countries. You can see we signed MOU on defense cooperation in 2015. The army to army, navy to navy, air force to air force. Talks are happening regularly. There is a good amount of intelligence cooperation between the 2 countries. And then good number of officers, military officers, they are participating in courses held in each other country. So that is one area which is growing steadily. We are very happy that last year, the coordinating minister for political and legal and security, they showed intention to have dialogue with Pakistan. So inshallah, soon after the COVID situation subsides, we hope that the coordinating minister would be able to pay a visit to Pakistan. So there would be a new area of cooperation also. Now coming to the topic, which is linkages of education with economic development. And here, you all know that economic growth is the real increase in the combined value of goods and services which is produced in a country. So anything that is produced in a country is known as the GDP. And the GDP is impacted by four things. What are those four factors? Those are land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. In the coming slide, I can show you what does land mean. Land means any natural resources. Like in terms of Indonesia, you have oil, palm oil, natural gas, you have copper. So all these factors, including forests, they fall in the category of land. And then we have labor. Labor is the effort of the people, of course. I mean, the people who are actually working in the field to produce that good or services. For example, if it is an industry of your wood carving furniture, so people who are actually working in that industry, how effective are they? This is the second factor which helps in economic development. And third is capital. And capital is basically two kinds. One is the human capital and the second is machinery and equipment. So these two are the things. And then lastly, but the most important actually, which became the topic of our today's discussion, is entrepreneurship. Now, who is an entrepreneur? Is a person who combines the other factors of production, which are land, labor, and capital, to earn a profit. Because if he is smart, he will put every aspect which is available in a country to use and produce something which is much better than the usual ones. And secondly, the most successful entrepreneurs are innovators. So innovation is one area that instead of doing what our forefathers 100 years or 200 years or 300 years have been doing, entrepreneur can create new stuff with less energy and less effort and more productive and more valuable to the society. So without the entrepreneur, combining land, labor, and capital in new ways, many of the innovations we see around us today would not have existed. So we all know about that. But is it only education and skill development which are important for a society? The question is, the answer is simply no, because only education cannot lead you anywhere else. But of course, there are other factors also, which are governance. How strong is the governance structure in a country that impacts, how the country is producing goods and services and how that country is doing well in the international arena. And then the civil society, how the people are, whether the country is economically stable, employment opportunities are coming up, the investment is going in the society or no, how things are, and then health and income equality, environment and all that. So there are positive linkages between the GDP and quality of education, because the quality of education is one area which is not only in terms of quantity that you have more universities that matter, but how good are the qualities, how innovative are those universities in terms of producing students, like Institute of Technology Bandung and Institute of Technology Ahmad Dahlan. I'm sure these are the universities and institutes which are providing that kind of skill and ability to the human resources, the students, which would be more productive, more innovative in the future. Now, role of education in economic development. Education is one of the fundamental factors of development. In the previous slide, I showed you it is not the only one, but of course, it is the fundamental. Because if you have everything else and you do not have educated class, you cannot move forward. But if you have good governance and if you have good education, the countries can tend to progress faster than as compared to the others. And education raises people's productivity, creativity, and promotes entrepreneurship and technological advances. So as I mentioned, the four factors of production, the most important was entrepreneurship. And to have a better entrepreneur, you need to have better education system. And education plays a crucial role in securing economic and social progress and improving income distribution. The quality of education measured on an outcome basis of cognitive skills has powerful economic effects, of course. And then if you see, economic growth is strongly affected by the skills of the worker. So if illiterate people are working in a factory and there are 5 engineers, so the kind of input that the factory would receive from those engineers are far better in terms of their output than routine, illiterate, unskilled workers. So human capital is generally considered as key ingredient for improving countries' economic well-being via higher productivity and more innovation. I just tell you an example of Germany, in which nearly 100% students, children, they go to schools. They have a 2-stream project. One is university students who eventually do PhDs and go into research. And the second stream is students who go for skill development. Because in Germany, every person who is employed for a particular work must have the respective skill set imparted with 3 years of training at least. For example, a barber, there cannot be a barber unless he or she has attended a 3-year program. A cobbler or a carpenter or a person, mason who does the groundwork also need to have 3-year degree course. So which means a person who has studied for 3 years, he is actually well conversant with all aspects of the work that he is doing. So the productivity increases, accuracy increases, and the effort is less and the output is far better. That's why made in Germany is a name. We all know that, if you find something which is made in Germany, you feel that it's a reliable one, it's a good quality, and it's more enduring in that way. So what does the social scientists and economists say about this aspect? Links between education and economic growth. So T.W. Schultz, an American Nobel Prize winner economist, he argues that investing in education is quintessential in increasing the productivity of the workforce. Likewise, Gary Becker, another American Nobel Prize winner, he says that investing in human capital and then a workforce with higher income is more likely to spend more, because if you are more rich, of course, you spend more in the purchases, goods and services, which indirectly affects the economy, and there is an economic stimulation and growth. Likewise, in the Europe 2020 strategy also places an importance on education by outlining, amongst other things, its goal to reduce early school leaving to below 10%. And more importantly, ensuring at least 40% of 30 to 34-year olds have completed tertiary education. So if you compare that, they are aiming to have 40% of their students going to the university education. Whereas I don't think so in Pakistan and elsewhere in the developing world, it's more than 10-15%, where the education is very expensive and the opportunities are less. So we are producing less number of university graduates as compared to the West. And the outcome is very clear. I mean, the West, they are far ahead of all other countries in terms of development, in economic well-being and social progress also. Likewise, according to a recent OECD report, providing every child with access to education and the skills needed to participate fully in society would boost GDP by an average of 28%. So, and this is not in 1 year, this is over a period of next 80 years, because you have trained a person, you have produced a child, a student who is now expert in one skill set. That skill set continues with him for the rest of his life. So the production is not only one time, it goes on till he dies or till he becomes incapacitated because of the age factor. So I think I will not now focus too much on this because it is now acknowledged that if more schooling, easier to master new technological skills, more skillful, more effective workforce, there is economic progress. And of course, more progress, there is more money means more purchases, buys, goods and services, which is a spiral like a snowball effect, and it continues on. Just one example in front of us is next door Singapore, which has a highly developed and successful free market economy, has made the most of its limited natural and human resources. Now, in terms of the size of the country and size of the land and size of labor, it is very small. But we talk of the entrepreneurship. When we come to this aspect, it has reached to second highest GDP per capita in the world, which is $58,500, which is far, far ahead of any other country in the Asian, continent. And its economy depends heavily on exports, particularly consumer electronics, information technology products, pharmaceuticals, and growing financial services sector. So all these are richly, dependent on high quality of producers or workers. So what we see is higher investment in human capital, superb governance structure. So that was the second most important aspect after education, which I identified. And if you see the governance structure of Singapore, it's a corruption-free society and 100% output computer-based. So all those things, provided a good governance structure is available and higher education investment is done, we tend to have manpower who are better trained than others, and this will definitely have a positive effect. I think there is someone who has not muted the... Okay. So in this slide, if you can see, the first is about Singapore. So in 1960 to 1969, it was labor intensive, that more manpower was working in a factory to produce the required goods. And subsequently, they went to skill intensive in 70s. In 80s, they went to capital intensive, that through robots and machines and all those, production started. In 90s, it was technology intensive, and now it is knowledge and innovation intensive. So with innovation, you all know, if you just Google and you go to YouTube and see how they have reclaimed the land and how they have rebuilt, hotels and malls and all other stuff, and how they are planning for the next 50 years. It's a good lesson for all of us, that how knowledge and innovation can actually, trigger growth, which is, just imagine 50 years ago or 40 years ago, they had $350, $400 of per capita income. Today it is 58,000 per capita income. So that kind of income is only possible with innovation and higher education. Now, what does Islam say about education? We all know that Islam focuses on attaining education. It is not only Sunnah also. The first wahi and revelation on Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was Iqra bismi rabbikal ladzi khalaq. So read, from the word read it starts. And then you all know about the verse utlubul ilmu walau kanu bis-sin, that even if you have to go to China, because that time Arab world was very far off from China. So even if you have to travel that far to education, for education, you should seek education and go out as far as you have to go. And then utlubul ilmu min al-mahad ila al-lahad, that from the cradle to the grave, one should study and one should read and attain education. All these focuses on how important is education for the growth of the overall society. And we all are aware that there was a time when the Muslims of the world, they were recognizing this importance. They were attaining education in science and theology and philosophy, and the first chemists in the world, the mathematicians in the world were produced by the Muslim world. And we all know about their contribution historically, but unfortunately, I think that tradition did not continue due to some reasons. And today, we are not in a very healthy situation. So in this slide, I show you that 1.6 billion Muslims around the world, but their share in the knowledge economy is very small. And you can also see that we have only 3 scientists in the field of science who have received Nobel Peace Prize. And out of 57 countries, only 3 scientists have been able to get a Nobel Peace Prize. Likewise, our share of books or patents produced in the Muslim world is very small. And you can also see that how many universities in the Muslim world are among the top 400 or 500 in the world. I can, figure out there are maybe 3 or 4 universities in Indonesia, maybe around 4 universities in Pakistan, few universities in Malaysia, and rest, I think there are very few which can be counted even in top 1,000 universities in the world. Likewise, you can see that our share in science is also very negligible. The kind of researches per million people that are produced and performance of universities or pre-university students in science, maths, and global university rankings, research papers published, and how much of them are kind of accepted as authentic papers, and inventing patents and registering them, and then citation of scholarship. All these areas, if you see, the contribution of the Muslim world are very, very limited. And so here you can see one big reason. The reason is that overall OIC countries are investing less than 0.5% of their GDP on research and development. So R&D is very important anywhere in the world, but we are spending very less. It's only Malaysia which is currently spending around 1%, whereas the global average is 1.78%, and OECD countries, they spend around 2.5 to 3%. With this now, I come and share with you some of the information about education system in Pakistan and how we are doing with the rest of the countries around. So like all other countries, I mean, we have the preschool, primary school, middle school, and then the higher secondary school, intermediate, and then university education. And around 183 universities are there in Pakistan, which in terms of numbers may be very smaller as compared to Indonesia. I understand in Indonesia you have more than 3,000 universities. But in Pakistan, higher education is also free, it's available. But then there are private universities also which have education fee for which you will have to pay. And 108 of which are public, 75 are private. These are engineering, medical, like all other universities in Indonesia, also agriculture and science and technology. Pakistan has produced, we are very proud to share, that Nobel Peace Prize. We have a physicist who is Dr. Abdul Salam, who was given Nobel Peace Prize. Malala Yousafzai is an educationist and human rights activist, also got Nobel Peace Prize. So in Pakistan, we have these two. There are top-ranking scientists across Pakistan, Dr. Ataur Rahman, Dr. Iqbal, few whose subjects, whose scientific contributions and books are being taught not only in the Muslim world, but also in the West. For example, Dr. Ataur Rahman he has written more than 60 books, and his books are being taught everywhere in the world. And then, we have IT experts and doctors and professionals working across the world in UK and in USA, in Canada. The number of Pakistani doctors and engineers is far more. So overall, we have around 9 million Pakistanis working in different parts of the world. So some of the top universities in Pakistan can be seen on the screen. It is Quaid-e-Azam University, Islamabad. We have ComSets University, University of Agriculture, which has a collaboration with IPB in Bogor. Then we have International Islamic University, Islamabad, which is one of the universities in Pakistan which has more than 200 Indonesian students in that. Then Lahore University of Management Sciences. This is a very premier management school in management college in Lahore, which has been producing very high quality business managers in the last 3 decades. Then we have National University of Science and Technology, which is 400 universities. LUMS, NUST, as well as Quaid-e-Azam University, all 3 of them are among the top 500 universities in the world. And then Punjab University, University of Karachi. So you name it. Institute of Business Administration. So IBA was one of the only universities established by the United States outside of university in 1956. So it's one of the very high quality institution which is producing business administrators in the world. And the list goes on, so I've just kept very few. Then we have some top of the line research centers in Pakistan, and which you can see the list is on the screen. Now, realizing the need that all the countries are not equally, having good opportunities, and as part of our effort to share the expertise developing world, Pakistan started Pakistan Technical Assistance Program. It was started back in 1950s. And this is one technical assistance program under which Pakistan provides capacity building courses and training courses and professionals from across the world, including Indonesia and many other countries in ASEAN region. So basically, these scholarships, they include long-term degree courses and short-term programs also, which is provided by the government of Pakistan. So 47 countries are receiving this kind of training courses from Pakistan, including Indonesia. So every year, 387 seats are offered on annual basis in MBBS, which is medicine and dentistry and pharmacy and engineering. And you know that MBBS and BDS and pharmacy and all these courses are not 1 year program. They are 4 to 5 years program. So all 4 to 5 years program is kind of based on scholarship. And then tuition fee is on subsidized. Annual stipend is also provided to only a few countries. So this is the distribution of annual allocations. So if you see 152 seats are allocated to doctors, you can distribute them. Bachelor's in dentistry is 29, pharmacy is 60, and engineering is 387. Then not only about these, but also related to capacity building, because skill development capacity building is also covered under Pakistan Technical Assistance Program, in which courses on commercial banking, railways, steel mills, industries, postal service, information technology, and Foreign Service Academy, which is also providing diplomatic training to different parts of the different countries in the world. Pakistan has excellent educational ties with its SAARC countries, which are just nearby. And of course, our students tend to go more to USA and UK, followed by Germany and Australia. One prime reason is that because of the English speaking, Pakistanis are, they speak English, they are taught in English. The official language in Pakistan is in English. So therefore, they tend to go to those countries. But then China, Japan, and South Korea and ASEAN countries are now also coming on the radar screen for their students. Like Malaysia is becoming an important destination for Pakistani students. And coming over to, then we have some scholarship program for the South Asian countries, which includes the countries under SAARC, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. And then, of course, ASEAN countries also provided these kind of scholarships. And I already mentioned under the PTAP. And then specific training courses are provided to those 4 ASEAN member states, which are Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and Vietnam, as a special case, because their development level as compared to the rest of ASEAN members was slightly lower. So as part of our efforts in ASEAN sectoral dialogue partner, special courses are provided to those countries also. And in the International Islamic University, I mentioned there are more than 200 Indonesian students are studying. And actually last year we had a program in the embassy in which around 50 alumni members participated. And we were very happy to see that around 4 or 5 of them were either they were mayors in different regions, or they were contesting elections, or they were former members of the DPR and the current members of DPR. So there were many very high-ranking Indonesians who had studied in Pakistan in 80s and in 90s and in 2000s. They are now working in different capacities in Indonesia. In Pakistan, all these are regulated by Higher Education Commission, and Higher Education Commission, they oversee the domestic as well as international scholarship programs. And universities, they have their own packages also. They offer their own degree courses, their own scholarships also. But then there is government sponsored programs also, which I already mentioned. For example, the Foreign Service Academy in Pakistan, it has trained 1,400 foreign diplomats from 109 countries, including Indonesia. And it holds courses every year, 3 to 4 courses every year. So around 30 to 35, 40 officers, diplomats, they come from different parts of the world. They stay there for 6 weeks in Pakistan. They receive this training. So likewise in Railway Academy and National Defense University, there are a whole list of institutions which are providing this kind of training courses. Indonesia, with a sizable population and 3,000 universities, Pakistan with 207 million population and high-class universities, and the kind of friendship that we both have between Pakistan and Indonesia, unfortunately, despite all that, the cooperation is not very deep. I mean, we do have students from Indonesia. The Pakistani students are also in different universities in Indonesia. One prime reason could be the education, medium of instruction. In Pakistan, it's in English. In Indonesia, it's Bahasa mostly, and only in private universities it's English. But other than that, I don't find any reason, because we have similarities of culture, similarities of religion, understanding between each other. Our people, they feel at home. When we come to Indonesia, we just feel at home here. People going from Indonesia to Pakistan, they are very comfortable in Pakistan. They just, you would be surprised when Corona came, people were leaving different countries, and there were 300-400 Indonesians in different universities in Pakistan. And they opted, no, we'll stay on here, because they just felt that, no, we have the facilities and everything. And you already know that Pakistan is one of those 5 countries which has completely overcome COVID-19 situation. It's only 4 or 5 people dying every day. And 96% of people have recovered from COVID situation, alhamdulillah. And we hope and wish the same for Indonesia also. Yeah, so the point was that we have great scope for cooperation, which needs to be deepened further. 45 students are now currently studying in different parts of different universities in Indonesia, the Mahasiswa program and other programs, scholarship programs. Likewise, I mentioned 200 students from Indonesia studying Pakistan. And recently, Pakistan also offered some degree courses to Indonesia. But when we offer, it is mostly through the Ministry of Higher Education and Science and Technology here. So through that, it has to be distributed to universities or the students. Yeah. So in the past 2 years, actually, the embassy tried to reach out to various universities, and I can gladly share with you that at least 15 universities we visited. We visited in Institute of Technology, Bandung, Erlangga University, ITS Surabaya, IPB Bogor, University Indonesia, Al-Azhar University, and Muhammadiyah University. So there are a whole range of university. Gajah Mada University, I can see one professor is today attending this program. Also, we had a program there. We met their leadership also. So the effort is to deepen the cooperation between Pakistan and Pakistani universities and Indonesian universities. We have written letters to Pakistani universities. They are eager to cooperate with Indonesian universities. And likewise, we have written letters to Indonesian universities. And we hope that this cooperation enhances in the years ahead. So as part of science diplomacy, as I mentioned, that Pakistan has some of the scientific institutions and universities which are very, they are placed in a higher premier place, like centers of excellence. And we are very happy that ITS Surabaya and Erlangga University are now closely collaborating with the Center for Chemical and Biological Sciences in Karachi. And there are some students from ITS and Erlangga. They visited Pakistan for 3 months last year. They received training, and a Pakistani doctor who is known as Dr. Muhammad Iqbal Chaudhry, he has visited 3 times in the last 1 year and delivered talks. And the effort is that these two universities, they grow in their cooperation by each passing day. But this does not mean that only one university is enough. We would love to have more universities cooperating with Pakistani universities. And of course, this is a win-win situation. Our two countries would engage with each other more, have greater understanding about the countries, the people, the culture, and everything, and which in turn will also affect our economy, because traveling is part of tourism. Also, tourism increases the income value. So it has a win-win situation for both. So we would love to have more and more Indonesian students in Pakistan on cultural program or exchange program. And likewise, we hope that more and more Pakistani students can come to Indonesia and learn from the good experiences of this great nation. So I thank you very much for a patient hearing. I think I crossed 5 minutes extra, but I'm open to question and answer session now. Thank you very much for being very patient in hearing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. His Excellency Sajjad Haider Khan, for a fruitful discussion and presentation. So now we come to our question and answer session. So I would like to give every participant a chance to ask a question. Like maybe for the first session, I will give only to first 3 participants to ask the question. So to ask the question, you can just write the question in the chat box in Zoom meeting room, and also you can use the raise hand feature of in Zoom, and also you can unmute yourself and state your name before you asking the question. So are there any questions from the participants? Okay, I think Abu Ali, Pak Abu Ali will ask the first question.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Alhamdulillah. Dear Mr. Sajjad, thanks for everything. Thanks a lot. I just want, not question, I would like to ask you something. Could you please give us scholarship for the students? Thank you.
So okay.
Okay.
Okay, so Mr. Khan, would you like to answer it directly, or we like compile 3 questions?
It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. I think it's a very good recommendation, I would say. There are 2 ways to go about securing scholarships from Pakistan. One way is through the government channel, and the second channel is through the private channel. Privately, in the Higher Education Commission of Pakistan, students can directly approach also. And in universities, they have their own websites, and each university has foreign students scholarship packages. So students have to show their outreach and apply for those scholarships. And if they are kind of, agreed to that, that is one way. Then that is the faster way. The second way is for embassy to request a university in Pakistan, like we did last time, and we were able to secure some scholarships. And so those students are already studying in Pakistan. Because the third package is for the government to government. So for the medicine and for the dentistry and for the engineering and those subjects, we receive the scholarships, but we cannot distribute directly to the students. We give those scholarships to the government of Indonesia here in the Ministry of Science and Technology. And the Science and Technology Ministry, it advertises and receives the nomination, and then those nominations are kind of conveyed to Pakistan side. So these are the 3 ways. What effective way I think is the institute or university in Indonesia, it signs an MOU with a relevant university in Pakistan. You see, that way it opens the door directly. And there is no hitch in that. Of course, there would be some students from Pakistan also coming as an exchange student for 1 semester or for 2 semesters here. But likewise, from here, students can then avail this opportunity in Pakistan. But having said that, as you mentioned, it is for the students far better that the embassy receives the scholarship and we just say, okay, take this scholarship, which is the kind of easiest way. But of course, little hassle in terms of convincing that who are the students and what they would like to study and what are their background. So these are some of the complications. But the embassy will definitely work with the students and with the institutions here in Indonesia to secure as many scholarships as possible, inshallah.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Han, for the answers. And for the next question, are there anyone who would like to ask the question? Also, if the participants wanted to ask the question in Bahasa, you can ask it in Bahasa and I can translate it for you. So, are there any other question?
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. So, okay. You can state your name and your institution.
Okay, then thank you very much. I'm Anna. I'm Assistant Liaison. I'm from University of Sumbar, Padang. So I have a question for you, Mr. Sajjad. You said that we must have like MOU. Is that G2G or U2U? Do you understand what I'm talking about?
I cannot hear you properly. There is some distortion in the voice.
You mentioned that we must have MOU first. Is that B2G or U2U? Government to government or university to university?
No. There is no government to universities they can have their own MOUs directly with the universities in Indonesia. So in Pakistan, universities can sign their own MOUs and directly they can have those kind of arrangements with the universities in Indonesia. So it's not government to government.
So how to do that? Is that like I must going to embassy first and find for the university or what?
Okay, the list of universities are available online also on website. So Higher Education Commission of Pakistan also has a website which provides all the links to the universities. So depending on whether you are a student of agriculture or medicine or business management or science and technology or IT or computer science, whatever, you will have to find out which are the universities which are relevant to you in Pakistan, where you could go there. And then when you go to their websites, they have the students for international students also, their information related to international students and the scholarships that they offer and the procedure, everything is kind of given there. So, but if in case you would like to, of course, visit the embassy and meet an officer here and get some more details, we will be very happy to coordinate here. And, Mr. Jamal Nasir is the in charge officer here in the embassy, Mr. Jamal Nasir. You can remember the name anytime you feel like. There is no time frame for us. I mean, these days we again started for next 2 weeks working from home and reduced strength at the embassy. But after 2 weeks, the officers will be here in the embassy. And even if you want to call or telephone, you can discuss with Mr. Jamal Nasir and he will be happy to provide you all the details, inshallah.
Thank you, Mr. Sajjad. Shukriya. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you very much. Shukriya.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ana Susanti and Mr. Sajjad, for the answer. And I have one question here in the chat room from Nur Cahyani Khalil. How about living cost in Pakistan? So, Mr. Khan, maybe.
Oh, yeah, living cost. You would be surprised to hear that Pakistan is one of the cheapest countries in the world. One of the cheapest countries. Karachi is the 3rd cheapest city in the world. So, to put it simply, I mean, it is almost 3 times cheaper than in Jakarta. So the cost of living in Jakarta is 3 to 4 times more as compared to in Pakistan. So for a student, of course, the universities, they have their own hostels and they have special rooms for the foreign students also. So they have their own, cook houses and mess system in which a very subsidized food is available for the students. And then, public transport is also, it's easy, it's cheaper. If you remove the rentals, if you don't have to hire a house.
Irwansyah itu ya,
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. Okay. So yeah. So it is very economical. I just say that it is almost 1/3 the price in Indonesia. Pakistan is among the top 10 cheapest countries in the world. So I think that gives some information.
Okay.
I hope I have answered
thank
the
you very
question.
much. Okay, there are another question in the chat room from Herlini. Can I get scholarship offered living cost for, I think, doctoral study in Pakistan?
Cultural study?
Doctoral, like PhD study in Pakistan.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not aware of a cultural program as yet. Mostly the universities and the courses, the scholarships available are related to computer science, management, and those courses, and medicine and these engineering courses. Because I understand cultural training courses, I think Pakistan has to learn a lot from Indonesia. And it is still not in my, at least it doesn't come to my mind, at least. But you would be surprised to hear that, if you go on YouTube and check out the comments of Western bloggers who have been visiting Pakistan, many of them, they have posted their information that, when they went there, they were treated as guests and people were not asking them to pay for the, for the food, and they were provided free meal and, all those kind of, but of course you cannot plan a trip based on that kind of presumption. But of course, it's a very hospitable country. People are very hospitable, and they look after their guests from the core of their hearts. So cultural studies, as of now, we will have to, I think, go back and check, but I don't think so it's available.
Thank you very much, Mr. Han. So, are there any other question? I think
one more question.
Can the audiences please to mute their microphone so we can hear the question and answer properly?
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I have a question related to relationship between men and women in Pakistan, and then the achievement of women in politics, in parliament, and so forth. Tell me more about that so we can compare, because in Indonesia there are many empowerment women in politics and economic and so forth. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's a very good question, because sometimes people have a myopic view that maybe in Pakistan, the situation is very bad and women are being very ill-treated and they do not enjoy good status in the society and all that. If you go back in the history, when Pakistan came into existence, Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah was the founder of Pakistan, and his sister was all along participating in political activities with him. And many of the pictures, when you Google it also, you will find nearly in 80% of the photos, his sister participating in politics with him. So ever since, women have been participating in different capacities across society. I mean, at one time, in 1988-89, Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto became the first female prime minister in the Muslim world. So not only in the region, but nowhere in the Muslim world, a woman was the prime minister of a country. And Pakistan became the first country to have a female prime minister. And she became the prime minister for 2 times. And in Pakistan, starting from judiciary, we have women who served as the State Bank of Pakistan's governor. At one time, we had 17 women ambassadors in Europe, in different parts of Europe. We have women hockey team, women football team, women basketball team. So you name it, and all kind of sports activities, women are participating. We have women military general who just rose to become a lieutenant general in the army. Women are flying fighter jets in Pakistan. Actually, Pakistan became the first country to have female fighter jets in the Muslim world. Even before India inducted women in the fighter jets, Pakistan was already there, and women fighters were already flying in the armed forces of Pakistan. And of course, in all societies, from teachers to nurses to doctors and engineers, recently we saw that there are Pakistani women becoming in NASA in a very prime location, prime post, gaining very high status in NASA in the United States of America. So women in Pakistan, they have freedom of action, freedom of expression, do whatever they want to do. And in the foreign minister of Pakistan in the previous term, Mrs. Hina Rabbani Khair was a foreign minister. She was a foreign minister. And actually, I tell you, I was the director program at the Foreign Service Academy in Islamabad before coming to Indonesia. And we had a new group of 26 diplomats selected for becoming diplomats in the Pakistan Foreign Service. And out of 26, we had 13 women and 13 men. So the percentage of women now is almost 50-50. In Pakistani universities, there are 51% female students and 49% male students. I don't know, maybe women are more good in education, or they want to attain better education than the men. What could be the reason? But men are now, so in every sense, women are participating in all walks of life. Certainly, there are few areas which still have tribal culture. Few areas bordering with Afghanistan and bordering in Iran, also in Balochistan, where female are expected to work at home and look after the children. They claim that if the men and women both have to work, the family suffers. So the women have to take care of the domestic affairs, and the man has to take care of the income part of the thing, that going for work and gaining that. But that precisely correlates with today's topic, that when education will be more, when skill set will be enhanced, more and more people can contribute to society. So just to tell you that in Sindh province, women, they contribute a lot from their home, because they are into this handicraft business, and while sitting in the comfort of home, people are working. By the way, COVID-19 has now provided us all an opportunity to work from home. So the requirement to physically be in a place of work, I think in the coming years, it would be less and less. So that issue now technically will be resolved. And now more and more women, even sitting at their home, they would be able to contribute in the economy and for the economic development of the country. I hope I have answered the question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Han. So I think I have 3 more questions in the chat box. The first one is from Nasrul Mohsinin from Middle East Studies, Universitas Indonesia. What steps are being taken between Indonesian government and Pakistan, which is actually an Islamic country, regarding the conflict in the Middle East? So I think that's the first question.
I missed the question, Mr. Nasir. If you can...
Okay, so what steps are being taken between Indonesian government and Pakistan, which is actually an Islamic country, regarding conflicts in the Middle East?
Okay. So, Pakistan is the second largest Muslim country. we call Islamic Republic of Pakistan. So we are an Islamic country, a republic country, Islamic Republic. Indonesia is a country with the largest Muslim population. So in terms of population, if you see, our two countries is almost bigger than all, maybe around 50 other countries put together. So the size, and size does matter also. But when you deal internationally, each country, big or small, has a vote, one vote. So China with 1.3 billion population has one vote, and a smaller country with 3 million population also has a vote. So they are sovereign countries, they are considered equal. So in that perspective, and in the perspective that both being Muslim dominated countries, we have similarity of views in Middle East. Starting from Palestinian issue, the issue of Palestinian people, Pakistan hasn't accepted Israel as an independent country. We have not recognized it. Indonesia has not recognized it either. And we say that unless the people of Palestine, they have the right to live in their own state, like two-state solution, we will not accept the existence of Israel. Of course, we have faced a lot of pressure where Pakistan has been singled out at many places for the sake of Palestinian people. But Pakistan takes pride in the fact that we are a Muslim country and we have to speak up for the sake of the Muslims across the world. So starting from Palestine and in Syria, in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Myanmar, Pakistan stands shoulder to shoulder with our brothers in Indonesia. However, there is one area which is very close to Pakistan, which is Kashmir. Now, Kashmir dispute is between Pakistan and India since 1947. We want all Muslims across the world, especially our brothers and sisters in Indonesia, to also support Pakistan on Kashmir, because Kashmir is a Muslim majority state where the Indian government has illegally occupied half of it. And now they have annulled their special provisions in the constitution also. Now they have included that as part of illegally occupied as an area and now made it a union territory. For the last 1 year, it has been under prison. People have been beaten. They have been under detention. Political leaders have been imprisoned. The internet has been blocked. The TV channels have been shut down. Electricity is no more. So they have put them like in an open prison. So 8 million Muslims in Kashmir are today suffering because of the repressive regimes of Indian government. So, of course, that is one area where we would like our Indonesian brothers and sisters to also openly and very forcefully come out and support the Kashmiri people. We have similar views in all issues in Middle East. So there is no issue at all. Alhamdulillah, we have cooperative. And you see, one area where the two countries can further strengthen our cooperation is Islamophobia. In many countries in the world, like we recently saw in Charlie Hebdo, again, publishing the cartoons of our beloved Prophet, peace be upon him. So Muslim countries have to come up openly and closely. We have to work for the good of the Muslim Ummah as such. So I hope I've answered the question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Khan. So we have come to the end of the question and answer session. We are so sorry for everyone who asked the question, and since we cannot extend the time of our Q&A session, we will end it now. Thank you very much for Mr. Khan for answering the question, and thank you very much for everyone who have been an active participant in this discussion session. So I think for now, I will give the floor back to the Master of Ceremony, Ms. Hendy Mulyati. So Ms. Hendy Mulyati, thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mr.
You have muted yourself.
Thank you, for moderator. His Excellency Sajjad Haider Khan, Thank you so much for your wonderful speech. Now it's time for us to listen to closing remarks that will be delivered by respectable Dr. Andes Nur Munir, MAGS, MCS, Director of Islamic and Middle East Research Center, University of Indonesia. Respectable Dr. Andes Nur Munir, time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Is my voice heard? Can
Yes,
be heard? Thank you very much. Yang saya hormati Bapak Dr. Pakana, STIEM, Rector of the Institute of Technology of Business, Ahmad Dahlan, ITBAD, Jakarta. Your Excellency, Sajjad Haider Khan, Judge the Affairs of the Embassy of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan in Jakarta. Thank you very much for your share concerning the education, the linkage of education and economic development opportunities for educational collaborations between Pakistan and Asian countries. Bapak Sutiabudi, SAMSI, Vice Rector of ITB, Ahmad Dahlan, Ibu Heni, terima kasih, Head of the International Relations of ITBAD. Thank you very much for your kind MC. Brother Muhammad Nasir Al-Haq, President of DYPLO, so you have lead the moderators good ones. Thank you very much. Bapak Dr. Ayah Hadiyat, MBA, Director of International Affairs of the University of Lampung, Ibu Ana of the University of Muhammadiyah West Sumatera. Thank you for joining. It's good to be meeting you in these occasions. Ibu Sutri Milarisa, Head of the Sekolah Tinggi Ilmu Ekonomi Muhammadiyah Tanjung Redeb. Dr. Mirza of the States of Islamic University, UIN Ar-Raniry. Mr. Chuch Mutia of the IIS UGM, Institute for International Studies of the University of Gajah Mada. Bapak Dr. Hizir Sofyan, Vice Rector of the University of Sahkwala, Abu Ali, Bapak Mas'ud M. Nur. Di sini juga ada attendance from Palestine, Mr. Samara Al-Haj, good to be joining with you today. Ibu Triasa Setiawati ask questions, Friska Labitra also ask questions, Aziza, and many others. Thank you very much for the shares, your thoughts and your questions. His Excellency Sajjad also have give a parallel between the case of Palestine and also the case of Kashmir. That is the problem of us all, including the Muslim world, especially Indonesia, the most populous Muslim countries, and also the case of Palestine. Also, these are the concerns of Indonesia because of the constitutions of Indonesia. First paragraph of the preamble states bahwa sesungguhnya kemerdekaan itu ialah hak segala bangsa. Oleh sebab itu, maka penjajahan di atas dunia harus dihapuskan karena tidak sesuai dengan peri kemanusiaan dan peri keadilan. So this is the basics acknowledgement of the freedoms belongs to Kashmir's people and also to Palestinian people. These are for Indonesian standpoints. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. That is the Islamic Republic of Pakistan is a country of the second largest Muslim country in the world after Indonesia, a country in South Asia. It is the world's fifth most populous country with population exceeding of 207 million populations. That is a big number of populations. It is the world's second largest Muslim populations. Spans 79605 kilometers. This is lumayan besar. So you have put point of the possibility or the potentiality of the workings together between Pakistan and Indonesia in terms of educational relations, but also not limited to education that we have established relations between Indonesia and Pakistan. For example, in the terms of defense relations also, that there are several MOUs that's already established between Pakistan and Indonesia in 2015 and 2018. So, however, those MOU will be implementable after to be approved by the Parliament of the Republic of Indonesia as according to Indonesia's law. For example, pada tanggal 8 sampai 9 Oktober 2019, at the Pakistan Ministry of Defense, a parliamentary meeting of establishing a ministerial level between Republic of Indonesia and the Islamic Republic of Pakistan's security dialogues forum in order to establish or how to see the formations, how to implement the existing MOU that are to be implemented. And after that will be implementable when to be ratified by undang-undang as according to the Undang-Undang Republik Indonesia nomor 24 tahun 2000 tentang perjanjian internasional, khususnya pasal 10 ayat huruf A, yaitu yang berbunyi bahwa masalah politik, perdamaian, pertahanan, dan keamanan, MOU tentang masalah tersebut harus di-approve atau harus ditetapkan dengan undang-undang. Demikian pertemuan pada tanggal 8 sampai 9 Oktober 2019 tahun lalu itu dalam rangka mencari formulasi yang konkret supaya bisa diratifikasi oleh undang-undang di Senayan. Terima kasih sekali atas your explanations about the bilateral visits to Pakistan. These are also records. Indonesian president visited Pakistan, and this Pakistan has the historic ties, not only current but also since the establishments of Indonesia. Also, that's a record. For example, I have two records: the role of someone named Sajjad Haider, for example. He's the one who helped the revolutionary jihad that Sheikh Hashim Ash'ari declared for jihad in 1947. There were 300 from Pakistan, the Muslim troops want to join the Ar-Raniry Surabaya in some to fight against the returns of the Dutch in Surabaya. And one among them is Mayor Ziaul Haq, and later he became the 6th president of Pakistan. So this is the history of Indonesia, and the relationship between Indonesia and Pakistan is unquestionable. So we are friends, we are in the parallel psychology, and also we are both in Muslim populous countries. So thank you very much, Your Excellency Sajjad Haider. This is in order to follow the Vienna Convention Diplomatic Relation in 1961. That is the purpose of the principles of the Charter of United Nations 1945 is concerning the sovereign equality states to maintenance of international peace and security and to promote friendly relations among nations between the nations of Pakistan and the nations of Indonesia. Thank you very much. So I hope that will be corresponds to the tujuan nasional of the Republik Indonesia, that is ikut melaksanakan ketertiban dunia yang berdasarkan kemerdekaan, perdamaian abadi, dan keadilan sosial, dan diberikan sebuah background or base in similar basis in religions, that is Islam, as we are among those majority of Muslim. As the Islam teaches us, ayuhan nasu inna khalaqnakum min dzakari wa untha waj'alnakum syu'uban wa qabaila lita'arafu inna akramakum 'indallahi atqakum innallaha 'alimun khabir. So the encouragement of knowing each other and friendship and building friendship between Indonesia and Pakistan is also under the base of the Islam mixed reference. So after we know each other between two nations, between Indonesia and Pakistan, then we start establish the wa ta'awanu 'alal birri wat taqwa wa la ta'awanu 'alal itsmi wal 'udwan. Ta'awun 'alal birri wat taqwa including in international affairs, education, and working together in economics and defense and so on. Akhirul kalam, semoga kita dapat berkontribusi untuk kebaikan dalam membuat kebaikan bersama-sama bersama two nation, Indonesia and Pakistan. Saya mengerti bahwa Your Excellency will be leaving Indonesia next month, as according to Ibu Heni tadi. So we would like to keep in touch and to set whatever working together possible in the future. As the hadith narrates, khairun nasi anfa'uhum linnas. The best people among you is the professional for the most beneficial work for humanity. Di mana saja, either you are in Jakarta or in anywhere on the earth of the world. Akhirul kalam, wallahul muwafiq ila aqwamit thariq. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mr. Nur Munir. Thank you to the speaker, to the moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to listen to respectable Dr. Ayah Hidayat, SMBA, a representative from COFOS, to expressing gratitude and presenting the award, the certificate, to the speaker, His Excellency Sajjad Haider Khan. Respectable Dr. Ayah Hidayat, SMBA, time is yours.
Thank you very much, Bu Heni. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
His Excellency Mr. Sajjad Haider Khan, I would like to express our gratitude for your time and your opportunity, your humbleness to share knowledge and everything about Pakistan. Herewith, we want to express our gratitude by presenting the certificate of appreciation for Mr. Ambassador. Please accept our, it is maybe not too valuable for you, but we have to give it to you, and then we hope in the future you can still engage with us all from Indonesia, from many university here, from DYPLO as NGO, from UI IMERC, and then Institute of International Study of UGM, from University of Muhammadiyah, UNSYIAH, and many others university that we get together here to organize this seminar, this webinar. Thank you very much for your kind and your very high knowledge about Pakistan, and many things that we don't know about Pakistan before. After you share the knowledge, it is, it seemed to me we are very, attract by you to visit Pakistan someday after COVID. Inshallah. Before closing, on behalf of co-host, I would like also, especially from University of Lampung, that we in University of Lampung also offer for those who want to study at master degree or at undergraduate level at University of Lampung. Please check on the website, University of Lampung. Through Mr. Ambassador, if there is any student candidate from Pakistan that are very interested in studying UNILA, please contact me, International Office of UNILA. We provide two or three students in terms of scholarship, so free of charge, and then we provide also residence facility, and then we can facilitate other than that also. So from now, from time being, at time being, we have many students from abroad at University of Lampung, like also from Palestine, Madagascar, and then from Japan, Vietnam, Thailand, and many others, Middle East countries, nationalities. I think that's for all. Finally, hopefully, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala will give you equal reward for the knowledge that shared to us. Thank you very much. Please don't hesitate to share again in the future about Pakistan. Thank you very much. Then from me, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Annie. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Hidayat. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all the series of webinar today. We hope there are many benefits we get from webinar, especially to whom that has willingness to get higher education in Pakistan and pursue the scholarship from the government. Thank you for all the co-hosts, Islamic and Middle East Research Center, University of Indonesia, Institute of International Studies, Gadjah Mada University, International Office, University of Lampung, Islamic State University, Ar-Raniry, Syah Kuala University, Muhammadiyah University of West Sumatra, Muhammadiyah School of Economics of Tanjung, Redeb, Institute of Ethics and Civilizations, University of Paramadina, DYPLO. Thank you for joining us, and we apologize for any mistaken. See you at the next webinar that will be held by Institute of International Studies of University of Gadjah Mada and DYPLO on Monday, September 15, 2020. That's all. Inshallah. Thank you again for all the participants that has been joining us. Okay, we end. Yeah.
Terima kasih Bapak Sajjad.
Thank you, Mr. Ai, Mr. Munir.
Terima kasih.
His Excellency Sajjad.
I would just like to express my deepest gratitude and much thanks. Possibly this might be my last webinar. We are having another event, but this might be the largest ever. So thank you very much, Mr. Munir and Noor Munir, Ms. Hani, and Mr. Ahmad for providing this opportunity also. We would greatly appreciate that if an email or a contact could be shared, but maybe Ms. Hani can share with us so that we can, move on this great offer. It was a lovely interaction with you all. God bless you and keep safe and stay blessed, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Jazakallah.
Jazakallah.
Mr. Sajjad.
Terima kasih.
Assalamualaikum.